Hi everybody, welcome back for part 3 of how to stack a hair bow. We have gone over how to make the first piece and the second piece and how to put those together to create this, a pinwheel, inside of our little 4 loop, all by using a needle, not hot glue. If you are just joining us, make sure you look up part 1 and part 2 on how to stack a Christmas hair bow, or else you're gonna be lost because we are now in our final stages. We also covered how to cover our barrettes and the ends of our barrettes, so that way we don't see the metal come through. Since we learned how to make a pinwheel in the second video, I went ahead and made a larger pinwheel like this, which is bigger than that little small version that I made. And this piece is going to attach to this piece, and it's going to stick out on the ends and look all pretty. Okay, so I'm going to tilt the camera down, and we are going to attach that piece with some hot glue. Let me move my needle out of the way. So we're going to put a little dot of hot glue right here in the middle of our cute little pinwheel. Only a little dot, you don't need much because you don't want a big glob. And we are going to hold that first piece that we attached together onto our pinwheel. And this is where the fun begins, because now the layering has really started with this bow and is starting to look more like a stacked hair bow. Alright, so that piece is now attached. Fluff out my pinwheel a little bit. And now we have this. And our pinwheel sticks out on the sides. This is what the back looks like. And when we start to attach this thing all together, it'll look more scrunched in the end. And I will show you why in a little bit. Okay, and I also have this cute little snowflake that I found. It's actually a button that you would sew onto something. But we're going to use it as the centerpiece to our hair bow once we get the bow in. That's what's going to be in the middle on top of our bow. Now, I started to make a bow. All I did was tie a knot in the middle of my string, I made a loop, and I sewed the loop together. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that on this end. We're going to come around, make a bow, make a loop the same size as the other one. And you don't need a huge bow because you're filling a small space. Okay, so it needs to be a relatively small bow. So we're just going to take a needle and we're going to sew this little bow. And don't worry about the thread popping up or anything like that, because we are going to cover that with a snowflake in the end. And just make a little X like I do on all my stuff, just to make sure that it's good and secure. Because after all, this is for a child.
How many of the impression is leaving?
And we're going to secure that end of our thread. Let me zoom the camera out a little bit and show you what I got. So far, looks like a little bow, okay? But we are going to make this a double bow, what I call a double bow. We don't want just one little bow, okay? We want it to look pretty. Pretty. So, this little tail needs to come off going to come around with this end, make it the same loop, same size. Let me turn this around so you can see it in the camera. Okay, going to go over the middle. That way we got two-ended bow. And let me put that down so I don't lose my spot. Got to put a knot in my thread at the end like we have been. Okay, so I'm going to make that little loop.
Well, that's impressive right off the bat.
And I'm going to sew it just like we did before. And remember, you're not going to see the stitching in the end because we are going to have a snowflake. If you chose not to put something in the middle of your bow, that is okay too. What you can do is use the same color thread as what your final ribbon is. In this case, it'd be red. My ribbon in my hand is a solid red, and the reason I chose solid red is because if you really go back and you look at our bow, okay, our bow is very busy. It has a lot of patterns. It's got Santa Claus, it's got stripes, it's got polka dots, so you need something solid to really actually bring out some color and everything else. So then we got this. And we got the one side of our bow right here. Now we got to create that other side. We got this long tail left. So we're going to loop it and go around the back with it, making sure it's the same size as the other side. So in the end, we got a cute little bow. So, pick up our needle and thread. Did I tie a knot? No, I did not. Tie a knot in the end of my thread yet again.
Find out where he lives. Find out what he seeks to protect. And make an image of it. And make an image of it. Since you're good with enchantments. No illusions.
Here we go.
Well, if it's his wife, I want his wife out in the ground in the front screen. Find out what he cherishes most.
And we are going to sew.
With the love, get your troops in it. When they're in the shape. We're signaling the crime going to be as soon as the commander steps foot, or when it comes in a higher ranking officer steps outside.
And then secure your thread.
Do you have any poison in red brown sheet poison? I hope one arrow works.
Cut off the remaining of the tail. And now we've got a little bow. Very plain, very simple little bow. Now, like I said before, you always want to make sure that you have your bow a solid color. Compare if you have a really busy bow, you want it to be a solid color. Okay, just because too many patterns is going to get lost in your bow. So we got this cute little bow. In the end, you got a cute little bow. Alright, so now we're going to attach it to this piece with our other 2 pinwheels and our little 4 loop-de-loop. We're going to put a little bit of hot glue in the middle, not a lot, just a little. Don't need to go overboard with hot glue. It's not necessary. So, poke my little pinwheel back up there. And you know, it's cute to have a pinwheel in the middle of the Santa Claus loops because the inner part of that Santa Claus loop is white. So that little pinwheel inside kind of covers up the fact that there's white. Alright, here comes the fun part. We're going to take some string, some thread, and we're going to cinch the hair bow. What I do is I place thread across the back, hold a spot, hold it tight, and you're going to come up and around through the middle, and all the way around your hair bow. Make sure your pinwheel, your outer pinwheel, is out of the way of this move. And hold on. First, let me take that back. It's easier if we do this. We need to thread it on a needle. That way we can run it through the back, and that holds the back part of the bow and holds our thread in place so we can pull tight on this move. And what this move does is it brings the bow together. Bringing the bow together will help cinch everything. It'll help give it a fuller look and the look that a stacked bow should have. Some people do not choose to do this step. I like to do this step. Reason being is because I've done it without it. That was the way I showed you the frog hair bow. I'll show you again. This one is not cinched, okay? And I don't like it as much as the ones that are cinched. So I'm going to show you the cinched move, what I call cinched.
Hold on 1 second.
So we're going to flip this over, run it through a ribbon in the back, make sure the knot is secure. Okay, now we are going to go up, over, make sure your pinwheel is out of the way, and pull as tight as we can to cinch this middle together. And sorry if you heard a little girl's voice, that is my daughter getting up to go to the bathroom. We're going to wrap it around a few times. Okay. We're going to wrap it around a few times. And we are going to secure it through the back. And we're going to do it again. Just secure it. clip the end, clip this end, and then I'll show you the finished product. Hold on. You might have to kind of spread the bow back out a little bit like I'm having to do to ensure that it looks right. And we got our little bow in the middle. And don't worry, the black thread that you see in the middle is going to be covered up because we still have to attach this whole bow, this nice pretty stacked bow that we just made with the little pinwheels and the loops, to our barrette piece. So we're going to do that right now. And you do this before you put on the snowflake. So, in the middle of the hair bow, put a dot of glue, and you place the bow down on it. Make sure you have your bow fluffed before you do this. And like me, I'm not a very symmetrical person. So one side of the pinwheel is sticking out a whole lot further than the other side. So I'm just going to trim these pieces up right quick. Which you can do. It's not a big deal. So I'm going to make them the same length as the other side. I'm just going to heat seal those edges right quick. You just want to make sure that you pull it away from the other ones when you're heat sealing those edges. So now my bow is more even. The little pinwheels are more even on it, on both sides, looking pretty. So here comes the difficult part. Flip open your barrette. There's this little bouncy piece in the middle. It pops out. All you do is put a little pressure down on one side and then on the other, it pops right out. So, the solid color ribbon that we used for the bow, we are going to use for this. And the reason why we do this is because stacked hair bows are heavy. This attaches it to the barrette, so no matter what, it doesn't come off of our barrette. So we put a little bit of glue on the middle, and we attach our red ribbon. Let that dry for a second, because you don't want to go pulling on it too early. Pull on it too early, it's just going to pop right off. Alright, now that it's dry, because with a low temperature hot glue gun, it dries quick. You're going to come up and over and through the middle, but before you go tightening this thing all the way down, you want to make sure that your bow is still turned the right way in the middle, and that it doesn't cinch it too much. So we are going to wrap it all the way around to the end and make sure your bow, like I said, in the middle is looking pretty and that it doesn't get messed up. Put a little bit of glue right here in the middle. Secure it into place. Voila! Now, put this piece back in. So, we'll put this little middle piece back in, which you gotta apply a little bit of pressure to do so. Don't worry, you're not gonna break it. Alright, bouncy piece is back in. Make sure it's in there and secured. Close your bow. You got a pretty little hair bow. Look at that. This doesn't even, once you do this step, does not mean that you have to put a snowflake there. You can leave it just like it is. You'll have to refluff out your pinwheel because during the cinching process, sometimes it gets a little too cinched and it gets tucked. So you just want to kind of fluff it right back out.
I love that.
And there you go. You got a bow. And that's what it looks like from the side. Tall, stacked, pinwheel, hair bow. And we still have to fix this one little loop. Here we go. Tall, stacked hair bow. Now, I like to go an extra mile and add a little embellishment to it. My kids love it. So I'm going to lay this on there and see what it would look like with a snowflake in the middle, which I think would be adorable. So I'm going to add this embellishment. You can find these flat buttons that don't have a raised back to them at any craft store or sewing store. It's the kind where you would sew literally through the button instead of having that loop on the back. So I got my button, or your button embellishment, attaching it to the middle piece. And voila! We have, let me turn the light off so you can see the bow a little better instead of it being blown out. You've got ourselves a pretty stacked Santa Claus Christmas hair bow with a snowflake in the middle to boot. So thank you for joining us for how to make a Christmas stacked hair bow. Our next project is going to be how to make a zipper bracelet. And yes, I said a zipper bracelet. It's where we literally use zippers, we sew them together, we install snaps, and it becomes a bracelet cuff. And we put embellishments on it. And it winds up looking like this. Oh, hold on, let me straighten this out. Give you a sneak peek of what the next project is. But it winds up going like this. It's a cuff, and we're going to stick embellishments and stuff on it to make it prettier. It's the latest new trend, latest new fad, and I'm all about trends and fads. So this is what we're going to be making next time. So hope you had fun making your Christmas stacked hair bow, and hope to see you back soon. Bye bye.